Hey, Doodles.
Hello.
Welcome,
I
welcome.
miss you, girl.
So we shall jump right into it. I know that you guys are thoroughly blown away by my costume tonight. I did a New Capenna episode, and I'm like, I'm not going to just wear the outfit once. I mean, you know.
Yes, you're right.
And that's
you're
the right thing to do.
Yeah.
It's these.
I'm here wondering if I should dress up. I mean,
I was wondering also.
You did a really hardcore Liliana. Like yours was awesome. I saw on your profile. Like,
thank you.
Did you make that costume yourself?
I can't sew. So I am one of those queens, you know. So I actually had the corset came from AliExpress from China.
Oh,
and
wow.
I had everything like sewn by professionals because I'm not that kind of person. But I have been trying. I had to self-teach myself how to crochet to do the Sahili armor. And I found out I'm really bad at crochet.
I can't do that.
I followed these in Instagram, and it was very fun because she was posting her accomplishments every day, and it was like heartwarming when I get nervous when I speak in English with Meg.
Why do you get nervous?
Don't because I'm an English teacher, so
this is
there's that, but
same thing as last time. She was all worried because my thing, and I will say this again, if you are worried about how you sound in English and you say that to somebody in English, then your English is okay. You know what I mean?
More than
last time.
There you go.
Last time I was rusty. This time it's Maggie. It's not the first time.
You're fine.
Yeah.
But okay, so tonight we're going to kind of be talking about lore because it's very on topic for Meg, and basically where we think things are going. Do we like the way things are going, and what things do we think could be done better? I'm going to go ahead and open the floor for Meg since she is the special guest tonight. Meg, would you tell us a little bit about your role with lore?
My relationship with the lore is kind of that's how I enjoy games altogether. I mean, since I was a kid and played Mortal Kombat, I was the lore kid who had to wait for Super Nintendo to roll out every profile for all of the characters. That was me. So for every game that I'm into, I go after the lore. And for Magic, it was no different. And I play since 2012, since Return to Ravnica, really. And I had played in the past, but then it was not my collection. I just played with friends and whatever. And I didn't know there was much of the lore because back in 98, early 2000s, people were not that into it. Milady. Yes, we have discussed that. The age
Shade throne.
There is a thing. I have a drawer full of anti-aging creams because of this one.
I am 40, so I'm good. I'm with you. I'm probably older than you are. You're not.
I know I'm 35, but
the
skincare is a thing because every time I say I started playing Magic, Duda says she started playing Magic for around the same time as I was, but she was like 7.
Yeah.
I was in college.
Yeah. I didn't start playing till I was 38.
That's a fresh lore fan, so we're gonna walk you through it.
Yes.
Right.
So
Warner Brothers is coming right around the corner, so you need to take some refreshers.
Well, I mean, my curiosity is now you actually did lore for the story, like you translated stuff, right?
Yes, I have. There was a publishing house here from Brazil. I don't know if there's such a thing in English in the US that they release like segments every couple weeks in newsstands. So in the end, you have this nice, clean collection that makes a whole picture when you put them all together in the bookshelf.
We used to have that. Those like period. They were sort of like Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna pick up in the video because of the Ponder preordained images, but Duda has one. For Marvel or something? Is that Marvel?
Yeah, it's Marvel. It's the Sawat Marvel.
Well, we can always show it off. Like we can, cover the screen.
Yes. I remember to bring one of those. I'll take a picture for you. Okay. So what I have here is one of the volumes. They were like about 100 pages long. And if you get really creative, squint, tilt your head a little, you see a little bit of Gideon's armor right about here.
Wow.
So it makes up that image of all the 5 Gatewatch members, the main Gatewatch members fighting Nicobolas. And it looks really pretty.
That's
in a bookshop.
Really cool. I've never seen that before. Have you, Joe?
I translated that for the publishing house, and it's my favorite thing I've ever done with my career. I'm a translator for a very long time, but this.
Maggie, what is Bermuda's name in English? Calçola's name in English? Breeches. She has the best translation for breeches. The card one is not valid. The card.
Yes, there's we're gonna talk a little bit about that. There's a little bit of inconsistency because my translated excellent stories came out before Breeches's card came out early this year. Was it early this year? Last year?
It was Common
the plague. The plague years kind of
years
ago.
Yeah. So 2020, end of 2020.
Yeah.
And I started these in 2018, so it was a little earlier. And I had chosen the name Calçola for breeches, which is one of those words for undergarments from the 1800s and stuff.
Yeah.
And the official translation for the card is Bermuda. Right. And I take personal offense. No, I'm kidding. But my option became kind of a fan favorite. So we're kind of, I take pride in that.
That's awesome. That is so cool. And like, how did you, and so with lore now I feel like what's a bummer is like that kind of stuff that you worked on. I wish we could see more of that in Magic. I feel like they're not using the like, they have this massive story that they could be doing stuff with. Why are they so scared to do this? Is it just the War of the Spark that really made them terrified? I mean, why do we think that they're not utilizing this like rich like tapestry?
Using you mean publishing hardcover books?
Yes, and or in any sort of supplementary material, because like for instance, like they're not even putting out stories for Baldur's Gate, which I personally am like, I don't care about, but I'm also a little irritated on the side because I wish that Baldur's Gate was Magic IP. I wanted to, I want to hear more about Magic characters. Nothing against D&D, but if I wanted to play D&D, I could play it, right?
I don't know about Baldur's Gate because they release stories only about the main sets. So the 4 main standard sets usually get stories.
Okay, right? I gotcha.
A few years back, they also had stories that they didn't make a full, it was separate, an anthology with separate short stories about core sets. Since the core set never had like
it wasn't related to stories, so
it wasn't a solid, concise story in the grand scheme of things, like the whole fight against Nicobolas. So they had stories about an artifact named Hot Soup. That's my favorite.
I remember that.
They had a whole story about Hot Soup.
They did that.
They made a story. Look, how cool is that? Honestly, they have a story about Hot Soup. I love that.
I gotta read that. What?
And it's brilliant. It's about a goblin war cook, and eventually they use her soup, which was never really tasty anyway, as part of the warfare.
That's great. See, they should do that.
brilliant. It's just brilliant. And but then back then, Wizards took care of all the stories. Things changed a lot after Ixalan. In Ixalan, Alison Lures, she started in WotC as a community manager. Then she went to creative, and now she's working with creative for other games and stuff that we didn't even haven't even seen yet.
Maggie,
yes.
Before we delve into it, it's nice to say that the core set 2019, if I am not mistaken, was especially about Nicol Bolas in Tarkir, and it developed Tarkir so much that it's important if you like Tarkir to read the core set 2019 history,
so
because
good.
it's good. It's really, really good.
It was the last core set they released stories, but
using
the stories.
We will always miss Jace the shirtless. We will always miss Jace the shirtless.
The
shirtless Jace is
Jace
memory loss. Yes, memory loss. Jace is actually, he had so much character development. A lot of us didn't like Jace before Ixalan and after Ixalan.
I mean, I love Jace shirtless with a bunch of semen around him. I mean, frankly, that's my idea of a good time. Yeah,
kind of like that. Yeah.
Thank you.
And that includes a blue. That includes a blue goblin.
Oh man, yeah, he was hot in Ixalan. But so, what happened with Ixalan? So, what was the shift then that made Ixalan?
The thing is, I am not sure how it worked inside the WotC building, but Alison Lures wrote the whole Ixalan story by herself. Mostly.
Wow.
Yeah, Kelly Diggs helped. She's a playwright before WotC, so she had a lot of experience with that, and it shows because of how character development was throughout the whole Ixalan stories. And after that, there was a hire in Wizards of the Coast that we how can I say that?
Did his name start with an N? Yes.
We don't like he who must not be named.
Okay.
Yeah.
See,
I have no clue who this is.
Okay, so Joe, there was a guy that was hired who wrote a book that basically was like condoning sex with teenagers. If you were to put it.
And he was hired as narrative lead.
Yeah, he made all the decisions, everything.
But then he said that it doesn't matter if a story doesn't connect to other, because Spider-Man is like that. So why not Magic be like that?
If you guys want to know a little bit of goss, I didn't realize this when I first approached him for an interview, and I was about to interview him for my channel, and then got fired, and then I didn't interview him. But that is not the first. I mean, I've said so many times where I'm about to interview somebody and then they get canceled, and I'm like, you know what I'm talking about, Joe.
You dodged that bullet, right?
I did. But so from what I understand, he was directly responsible for the War of the Spark story and how that was done and all that kind of stuff, correct?
Yes. The problems with War of the Spark, which are many, okay. War of the Spark was supposed to be that big season finale, like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer season, right?
Yeah.
You had stuff going from Origins all the way to War of the Spark. And that was this big arc finale. The thing is, with Nick Hellman in the narrative lead since Dominaria, he decided to start hiring authors, fantasy and sci-fi authors from the writer circuit. That was not the bad part. The bad part was, as Duda said, his complete disregard for consistency. And then we found out about his past as a writer, which was completely...
It was a little disturbing.
And then Jace is very cool.
Against WotC, against the mission of WotC, you know? Didn't have anything to do with the company.
I mean, it's kind of shocking that there wasn't some sort of like like if you're hiring somebody as a narrative lead, you would think that maybe somebody would have read the book that he wrote, right? Right?
That he was most famous for.
Yeah, I think he only had that one book, right? I mean, I think that was his biggest, like at least the biggest, if not his only, the biggest book that he wrote, right? I don't know if he was terribly like he didn't have a lot under his belt at that time.
And then it happens then that Jace is very cool and everybody loves him, and then he blinks inside the water light.
You are in love with Jace.
Total
No, but that's by the end of the Dominaria story. That's important because since Allison had made Jace look cool and gave him a heart and everything because he was
right.
He wasn't everybody's favorite back then.
Yeah, he was icy.
When he appeared in Dominaria, he was that icy
asshole.
Yeah. He wasn't, the scene was not the same. And the lines were not the same. And in Battle for Zendikar, we had this kind of consistency. We had different stories with the same lines coming from different points of view, different characters. So we had the same scenes happening. And in the Dominaria, A, we didn't have that. B, Jace's characterization was completely different. Wow. So the Jace we fell in love for in Ixalan was retcon. And when people questioned Kelman about that, he gave us that Spider-Man excuse. Not even good ones.
No.
Meg, do you remember if the story was translated to Portuguese in Dominaria? Because it was being translated in before.
How many of you guys, though, quick question, how many of you guys actually read and or listened to the actual War of the Spark book? I actually listened to the Audible, and I will say this, the guy who did the reading of it should be more famous than he is. He did an incredible job with a book that did not have, like, it was not an easy book to make.
I read Ravnica. I read the first part.
And did you read it?
I read it. I don't read very often, but I went out of the way to read that book, and wow, what a disappointment that was.
I mean, I didn't read it. But the Audible, the guy who did, I'm forgetting his name, but I will flash on the screen. He did
Red Weissman.
No, Weissman wrote it, but the guy who read the book, who did the actual like voices of all the characters,
the voice actor. Mm-hmm.
He did the Trostani Discordant, like incredible. Like he was just a very talented actor. And then also too, I mean, and I'm just going to say this: when is Rat going to get a card? I mean, she was the main character in the book, which I that alone is a problem, right? Taking a completely new person and making her dead center.
No, that's very common when people hire folks from outside the game, because people first, these authors want to leave their footprint. They want to leave their fingerprint.
Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that's where they come in. They are this new character, and they are usually the point of view that sees everything because that's how they see the brand, let's say.
Oh.
That's not that big of a problem. The problem was that in Forsaken, because War of the Spark Ravnica was weak. War of the Spark Forsaken was so problematic that only, as far as everybody tells me, I haven't gotten around to read, or I bought the audiobook for free. I got the that first book you get. Yeah. I bought War of the Spark Forsaken, but I never got around to listening to it.
It's bad.
What everybody tells me is that Tezzeret is okay.
Well, it's the thing about it is, and I do feel like Weissman maybe kind of got a little bit of a hard deal. Like I feel like he kind of got he was the punching bag, when I feel, and maybe I'm wrong in this, that there were a lot of decisions made that he was told to do. He had no decision in this, right? Like,
as far as we could tell, there was some stuff that was made after he handed the job in. There was editing, and there were some things that were not in his power.
And
but we don't have proof of anything. We just noticed from what was tweeted, what people discussed, that Greg Weissman was very disappointed with how the book turned out. And he's not a bad author, but maybe he was dealt a bad hand in very magic terms.
I think
he didn't get a good hand.
I think it's decidedly true that he did not get a a good hand there. And I'd love to talk to the guy because I really do think that there was a committee involved where they told him, she's going to be this is going to be this. We're playing to the foreign market. But I feel like Magic, at least they did that because everybody was so pissed. They did an overhaul and they're back on track, I think, with the free stories being up, except they did, obviously the speaking of Alison Lur, you guys cannot read her story, right? Still in Brazil, right? You can't read the Huatli and Sahili story.
We got the story after like a week.
Okay,
we got access to the story. Okay. Yeah, but one of a Brazilian member of our community lives in the Netherlands, so she got us a PDF.
See, well, but you can't officially go because you were one of the people that actually
now we can. After a week, we could. Yeah, but we can't buy the secret lair.
We can't tell them.
What was that, Joe?
I was just saying it's silly. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
It does, but it doesn't. I'll give you a little inside information for the Brazilian part. What happens is, we're skipping to the present, right? To the secret lair debacle and the whole story. What happens is Brazil does not have any anti-LGBTQ laws.
I am here. I changed my name legally, so there is.
You exist.
Yes. So it is very. It's not a crime. It's not hindered legally by any standards. In Brazil, LGBTQ marriage was made legal before the US did.
Yeah.
Okay. And what happens is, so what I mean is there's no law, there's no vertical censorship.
Right.
However, the society is pretty conservative as a whole. The current president is very conservative and very narrow-minded in that kind of topic. So we could say that Brazil has a lot of horizontal societal censorship.
And do you think the government or the president would maybe possibly even be involved with that sort of decision where No,
but maybe that's the reading that the U.S. office got because of how vocal the society has been lately about being very phobic.
To me that just that doesn't really give. For me, that's not enough of an answer because if you were to judge America by Donald Trump and the way that he behaved, it would be for me. That's a very different of what I consider America. It's like versus and it's like the president
and that works for us too,
right? Yeah.
That works for us too, but especially for the Magic community. We're very inclusive. It is Magic, as Richard Garfield intended, also in the inclusivity factor. Okay, in the first play test team that Garfield put together in college, there were a few trans women. There were it was very inclusive from the start.
That's so cool.
It is. And it is part of the mission statement of the company since he started it. And it doesn't have anything to do with Wizards, but the excuse we got, the reason we got for the secret lair, the Pride secret lair to have been blocked here and the story to have been blocked here were that some countries with homophobic laws would have the content block. And that would be I'm a localization specialist, guys. This is my jam. It makes no goddamn sense. No. It's Russia and China. Russia and China have those kinds of laws.
And the notice
Brazil does not.
And didn't they give you a notice from 2020? It was literally at the end of the notice, it said, now we're going to go into the magical world of Kaldheim. So it's not even they gave you an updated version of the reason why you couldn't see things.
But that makes sense if we were in Russia and China.
But yeah,
that was the note. That the note was, CC, Russia and China,
right?
And although Brazil is kind of, the laws are very inclusive, but there's also the problem that Brazil is the country that has most killings and assassinations of LGBTQ people in the world. Okay,
really?
So yes, it's really weird because there's this whole. it is widely accepted. There is one of the biggest singers in Brazil is a drag queen, and currently, right, Pablo Vittar. And things are we're not supposed to be like that, but street level, depending on the area, Brazil is a huge country. It's almost as big as America if you didn't count Alaska, you know. So yeah,
it's whining. I'm so sorry. Nina, stop. Nina.
It is pretty big. Yeah. So it happens a lot. So what we understood from this whole shebang, because it was complicated, we didn't have a lot of communication, and eventually they released the story of Huatli and Sahili for us, is that because of the statistics, because of presidential speeches, because of how the society sometimes acts toward the LGBTQ people in Brazil. Although we have the biggest pride parade in the world in São Paulo.
Yeah.
And everything else.
Soon.
That's a big one.
Coming soon, exactly. Sorry. What we understood is that the American office understood, yeah, Brazil is very LGBTQ phobic. So let's not release it there. But I don't think they asked anybody.
Right? It's just ask. Just be like, I mean, because it boggles the mind, but it's also, you know, and I hate to get to diverge into it, but it does make me as a gay man wonder how much of it is marketing and how much of it is being genuine. And that is, and I'm not accusing them of like doing that, but it does not ring as authentic when you have certain parts of the multiverse where pride cannot happen. So that's my 2 cents on it. I don't know how you guys feel, but
I feel like it's funny because I want Alesha so bad. The Alesha art is so amazing, and I probably get just like I got my Stranger Things secret like cards, so buying the second market.
I'll nab one for you and mail it to you if you want. I mean, like I don't mind that. I mean, I can do that. That's the least I can do. I can hook you up with an Alicia card. I think that's fair. I mean, it is really frankly bullshit, but I mean, but I guess then to bring it back then, because we only have like half an hour, although this is a fascinating conversation. I'm like, oh, I could talk about this for an hour, but the Netflix series doesn't seem to be happening, right? Like it seems like
I just tweeted about it like
there's
last
nothing.
week.
Nothing.
I remember when
Netflix announced all the geek stuff for 2022, and no magic was in it, and we're like, what gives?
And you know, and that too is where I kind of am getting a little concerned about, because like Magic hosts The Walking Dead. It hosts Stranger Things. It hosts Warhammer. It hosts everything. Name
Lord of the
it.
Rings will be
right. Magic doesn't get even a cameo in anything else. Like we don't get to see a Planeswalker pop up in Warhammer. I mean, give me some freaking figurines, Warhammer. I mean, come on, why not? Like, who gives a toss? But it's just it, and I kind of worry is like Magic becoming like a lackey, or like the professor said, he put it really beautifully, like it's becoming a billboard, right?
Yeah,
but I always have dreamed about Gandalf in Magic. So
it's happening. Gandalf is happening.
I don't mind that.
At least that feels like the IP fits really well. Like Stranger Things feels off, where it's like, yeah, they do D&D in the show, but it's like it doesn't feel like it fits Magic. They're like, look at this little kid, and this is what this little kid does. Like, why does Mike like bring things back from the graveyard? That doesn't really even fit with what he does in the show at all.
Yeah,
it's really weird.
11 is a great card with the that looks like 11. So, but it's and will make clues. So he's giving clues of where he is from the
upside down.
Down.
Some of them make some sense. Some of them make very little sense.
I mean,
I had only 11 and Will just because of this.
Mhm.
Okay, so here's the official.
Some of the secret layers, the universes beyond, were not as thought through, I guess. But from Street Fighter forward, I believe them. Bring whatever you want. Okay, Street Fighter was a knock out of the park. It was so
cool.
good.
It was cool.
It was so cool.
And I think they're going to be more careful, especially because we were very vocal. Wizards listens to the audience a lot.
Yes, yeah, I will give them that. They do pay attention. Just for a heads up. Okay, so there is only one cast member, obviously, for the Magic show, Brendan Routh, who's playing Gideon Jura for one episode. So I'm thinking they have a pilot written, but there's literally no IMDb casts. Like there's Brendan Routh. That's it. So I guess it's going to really be focused on Gideon because
it is. It's going to be about the relationship between Gideon and Jace.
Oh yeah,
which is going to be. We don't have a Jace on IMDb yet, but it would be very interesting to see that story because between Shadows over Innistrad and Kaladesh, there were 4 months of story. There was a time skip of 4 months that we didn't see. I was betting this show would be about those 4 months and a little bit over that.
Now,
because they had to develop kind of a conflict between who is the actual leader of the Gatewatch. Is it Gideon because of the muscles? Is it Jace because of the brains? I thought that would be the situation, but we don't have any info.
No, we don't. What's interesting is they decided to lead with Chandra for the promo image if they were going to have this,
It was before they had anything about the history they were using. So they took the coolest looking,
which is a card that already exists. It wasn't original art. That's why I thought, they just picked a cool image. It's exquisite firecraft. It's a card from Origins.
The one that they used in the promo for Netflix was not original.
No, it's a Chandra card from Magic Origins. Whoa. It's just really cool looking.
But I did not realize that wow. So because I assumed that was Nina. I'm sorry, my dog's whining.
Nah, it's okay. It's cute. When you edit, just add a dog emoji and.
Sorry about that. But so.
But you are not alone in this confusion because it looks like it will be a Chandra one, and then they were talking about in the first year they reviewed this, and I think they wasn't planning. They weren't planning to review it because people found out by the word has flown.
Registration. It wasn't of websites. It was of a Netflix registration for trademark names.
Right.
Trademarking. Yeah. And people found it and Reddit was on fire. And so I think they just had to speak. And
it was like a mock-up that they did that leaked. I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
They weren't planning to reveal that early because it's been for years. The time is passing in the funny way. In the last times, what happened?
Yeah, we have people who were hired to do writing on episodes as far back as 2019 on the show, and it says it's going to be out in 2022. I don't think that's going to happen.
Nobody believes that.
No, after Netflix announced that today, I don't think that's gonna happen.
In the last announcing show Magic did, they did announce it that it was in 2022. My last hope is that in the next announce that it's coming soon, they will announce something. But it was very, very strange because there is this list of releases about geek things, and Magic is nowhere. And Magic had been in one of these in late last year. So it's
Magic is geek. Like you can't be geek nerd without Magic. Like weird, like original. Like you know,
I think D&D's original. And then Magic
D&D's
original, but we're cooler.
Oh yeah, I was gonna mention something about that because the Duffer Brothers, who created and produced Stranger Things, there was, I can't find the source anywhere now, but there was Gainsay that they wanted the first scene of Stranger Things to be a Magic match and not D&D. But the timeline didn't add up. So they put D&D instead.
Because it was early 80s, or is that because
exactly, because those kids, if they make it alive by the end of the show, they would be in college playing Magic.
Yeah, right. I mean, the other day I can say I've heard Magic the Gathering actually referenced a couple of times in the show The Venture Brothers, which was really cool. Like, I mean, they mentioned it twice, like as a joke, but you know, I mean, it is weird that like Wizards does not jump at the chance to have these different, because people love it, they talk about it, and then why not jump? Why not do it? I mean, it's confusing.
There is a whole South Park episode about Magic, and
right. I mean, like
it appears in The Big Bang Theory. It appears in several entry-level nerd stuff.
There was a film about sorcerers and magicians that there was a poster of Magic behind the main character in a scene.
The first Spider-Man movie.
See,
also,
it's like there's
Seinfeld. There's
really.
There's a Magic. There's like a starter case in the back of Seinfeld all the time.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's like super old.
If there was a vintage player in the world, it would be Jerry Seinfeld.
That's so
vintage player.
You know what's interesting about that? I think you have to clear the rights for that. Like Seinfeld couldn't have that up without getting permission from Hasbro, right? I mean, I would assume because it's got.
I don't know.
Well,
it was the 90s.
Time it wasn't Hasbro, it was just WotC, but
I think that isn't WotC Hasbro at the same time? I mean, like they're sort of like, I mean, it's sort of like
no. Well, back then, Wizards was eventually bought by.
It was bought by Hasbro 2002.
Okay. So yeah, this was obviously Seinfeld's the 90s.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go.
Magic is such a it's so popular and well known within the nerd community. But then, like, you leave and some people, like, they know they've heard of it because, like, this is so random. But when I'm on dating apps, like, I bring up, it's like, hey, what do you do for a living? It's like, I make content for Magic the Gathering. Like, oh, I've heard of that.
Well, yeah.
And it's like, and every time Magic comes up, like, in something in pop culture, my mom has to tell me. Like, if she watches The Big Bang Theory and they mention Magic, she's like, oh, Joe, I saw this. And it's like, oh, my gosh, they mentioned Magic. It's like, okay, yeah, that's cool. And like that's how little it's mentioned in pop culture.
Do you remember when open boosters have opened an alpha Black Lotus? It was published on a news article here in Brazil, and I got the link for this new article like 1,000 times that week.
Exactly.
Howard Stern did a segment about Magic the Gathering, and it's really funny. I think some people might not find it funny, but I find it funny because you have a sense of humor about yourself. But it's big enough that if you have somebody like Howard Stern doing an entire segment where he has people go down and interview people at the game conventions, it has cultural recognition. But I'm like a relatively new player, but I still remember like looking at the corner of my eye in Target and seeing all the cards and being like, you kind of wonder. And it's got some good stuff in it. Like I will say the new comics are amazing. Like they're amazing. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to read them, but they're fucking good. They're fucking good. Like it is worth it. All of them, like the new Hidden Planeswalker series are good. Like if you can get them, read them because they took back any bad faith that was left over from, War of the Spark, and then the like missing Theros just story that was just
and the Chandra comics that came out back in the Nick Kelman years. That was so they were so bad.
I couldn't.
The Chandra comics were so bad. It was a 4 comic series. I only read 2 of them because the second one I only read because I felt, okay, I gotta support the brand I love. But Jesus Christ, it was bad. It was so bad.
What do you think the best book of all? I mean, if you were to pick the best novel from Magic, which one would you say people should read? Like, as far as or maybe cycle, if you wanted to pick the best cycle of books.
Where to start? I would say Origins.
Okay.
Magic Origins is the block where people should start to get the whole Gatewatch situation. Okay, from Magic Origins forward. My favorite. My favorite block is Tarkir.
Okay. I read Mirrodin.
My favorite block is Tarkir.
Mirrodin was my first one, and that was tough. The Glissa story was
It's heartbreaking.
It is.
It left me after the way I felt after watching Night of the Living Dead, where you're just like gutted. You're like, that's it. That happened. And it's not that it's mean-spirited, but it is. But it is good fiction because it shows that there's nothing that can happen when you're in a world where bad things happened to good people. But I really am hoping they do something about Glissa. I say justice for Glissa. They have to. They want justice for Glissa, man.
She's speaking about the past.
Justice for Glissa.
Speaking about the past, we are about to enter a review. I just was kidding about the Brothers War before, but it will be huge in the way I'm looking at it, because I grew up hearing about the Urza stories. Everybody told me that there is this huge character called Urza. He is strong. He's the best. And when I was reading, I discovered that it's not that. That Urza is not.
He's kind of an asshole.
Yeah, he is the
very
guy
much
who destroys the city to save the city. So, he's a great character. So I think it will be nice to see a new take on the Brothers War, and to understand how wizards see that old story about two old characters nowadays. So I'm looking forward a lot to the Brothers War. I am not even looking to Dominaria United, even it being a focal point of this arc that we are going through, the Phyrexian, the new Phyrexian arc.
I really like this arc, and though it kind of like slowed down after Kamigawa, and we just kind of like Urbrask showed up on Capenna, but it's like, okay, he's there, and like you talk to him for like 5 minutes and he's gone. It's like it was.
Yeah, you didn't like that, did you? I wasn't bothered by it.
It just didn't. Well, it's like, okay, when we're seeing all of the Praetors, like they're doing a big thing. It's like Voraclex did a big thing, and Jingataxis did a huge thing, and then Urbrask is like, I'm kind of here.
But you gotta cut
Urbrask is going to betray them.
That's
all.
the thing. That's why he was there.
I know.
It was shoehorned in a little bit. I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying. It was it was a little obligatory. Maybe they could have had an interplanar phone call or phone conference, but no, I gotcha.
Something a little more, just a little more than what we got. Also, I'm excited for Dominaria United. I assume we're going to get Shieldred, and I am curious, and I don't know if this is pure speculation because I don't know. If with Dominaria leading into Brothers War, if we are going to get something with time travel, which Magic hasn't done in a while.
I feel like that's likely. That has to be, right? Because Teferi and all that.
It's likely. We haven't done a flashback set like this
ever, right?
I think
no, M19. M19 was the last flashback.
Oh, okay. But it was a core set, right? Which is distinctly different. And it seems like this is part of this is the main set, part of the main story. It seems like, or at least it's in that spot or in that slot.
They can't fuck this up. If they fuck this up, it's going to be big problems, because this is something that would disenfranchise. People who already know about this story are invested. I don't think any of us are not invested.
I am waiting on the Phyrexian since Karn has discovered the Silex in Dominaria story, and it's been since 2018. So it's been 4 years, and I am waiting for the day they will turn into the Phyrexians. And when the Praetors start to show up, I think I thought, oh, now that makes sense. But I do think that Dominaria United will be like a Phyrexian invasion again. I think that we will have the last two Praetors in the same set. Because that's it. That's the setup that's being made.
And
So-
Shoulder, and Shoulder is the
The
last
brief-
one to be brought back as like because we've visited all the other Predators, right? They've all shown up.
We
The
need
last
Ella
one.
Schnorn.
Ella Schnorn
No, Ella
haven't
Schnorn
showed up.
She
No, but
she-
Elish she's gonna sit tight.
But
Going
she's in
to
that
wait.
story,
And
though.
She's going to be the last
Atraxa-
one. I mean, she's the most beloved Praetor.
But you
and
guys,
they're holding back on her for a reason. I mean,
There
No,
is
no, no,
Atraxa.
she had
There
a
is a-
There was a story a couple weeks
Yeah,
ago.
there was a story about her a couple of
yeah,
weeks
yeah,
ago.
yeah. She did have the story, but I mean, like
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
holding tight on like her being in the main story and interacting with the
Oh, no,
big
she'll be
planeswalkers.
She'll
And
be in the main
will
story.
be, but
Like-
like they're obviously waiting. Like there's no doubt in my mind that the next one we see is Shieldred, right? Like
Atraxa will
on
show
a
up.
card. It's like we're gonna see anyone else before we're gonna see Ella Schnorn, whatever the like coming to a head story is.
Yeah,
right?
of
It
course.
feels
Yeah.
like we're gonna wait till then.
Like that's what's cool about it is that they set up this whole thing, and I realize we only have 10 more minutes. I'm clock watching, but I will say that they
That's
set
okay.
the story up, and they made sure that we knew that there was dissension in the ranks, and then also that Ashiok comes in and they're just like, I don't care what I'm doing. I don't care who I'm messing with. I am going to mess with whoever is in front of me because I find that enjoyable. That makes them almost less sinister than they were before because they seem to be
Yes.
like just against Elspeth, and that was dark. And then when you find out they're just they're trolls. They're just trolling. They're just messing with Elish Norn. And I loved the fact that she got a little dose of her own medicine in a way that a Phyrexian would. Like making a Phyrexian think that they're becoming organic is a terrifying thing, right? That's
Yeah,
It was delicious to
Like,
read.
it's the same idea as like becoming metallic becoming cybernetic for a human would be terrifying, right?
Right.
It's the vice versa. And it's,
yeah.
but
and
I do love that Elspeth, or no, that Elish Norn fears Elspeth.
That's great.
And like Elspeth's biggest fear was always like the Phyrexians, and like her nightmares on Theros were always the Phyrexian obliterator. Like that's what's pitched. That's literally what's pitched on Elspeth's nightmare. It's really awesome. And I love that Elish Norn fears Elspeth like that, and she like Elspeth doesn't even know who Elish Norn is, right? And it's like
no,
not really.
not consciously. I don't think she does. I don't think she.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, like
Oh, maybe she does.
maybe
but-
like she might.
But maybe only by passing, not by like she's not like
exactly. It's like,
cognizant of
By
who she-
word of mouth, not
Right,
she.
right.
She hasn't faced her or anything.
yeah, and I just think that's super cool. I mean,
I think
Elspeth's one of my favorite characters. I think she's so well done, and I just love her.
I think she's going to be the next like Gideon. I think that they're building her up to be the next like great like the filling the hole where the white planeswalker hole where Gideon like left. I think Elspeth is going to become as big as Liliana too. I think in a way that where her character arc, they're revving it up. Like she's like we're gonna watch her become the superstar of that's my prediction. I think.
In the end of the original Terrell's arc, I was destroyed about how it ended.
It was messed up. It was messed up.
And
It was beautifully tragic. It was
like the Greek. I mean, it was great in a sense that it was well written, but it killed you. But what really killed was the lack of the Theros story because there was so much that could have been learned there, right? And where is that information?
I think it's a blessing in disguise because I think if they pulled it, it was so bad.
Really?
Wow. I in my heart, I am sure of it.
Okay.
Because if they pulled it after the whole bisexual erasure of Chandra and everything else and all the stuff that we complained, it's a Greek inspired story. You can't have, you have to have a lot of representation. And Ashiok being non-binary.
Oh, no, yeah.
Probably they made a huge mess of it. I am not sure, but if they pulled it, it was probably so bad that Ashok probably kissed Elspeth. I don't know.
Or something where
I don't know.
We have a non-binary character taking center stage, really, that for the first time.
And probably his non-binarity wasn't well represented. So maybe it was a blessing in disguise.
That's a good point. I never thought about that. Wow. Yeah. Blew my mind.
It could have been a lot worse.
The cliff notes of Theros Beyond Death story are really decent. Like I enjoyed like, hey,
but
like,
they're vague. They're vague though. They're very
they're
vague.
obviously vague, yes. But like I really like. I mean, the cool, like it would have been really cool to get a well-written story about how Elspeth's like the Shadow Spear is such an amazing little story.
And kicking Heliod's ass, you know, just
well, everything's based on faith on Theros, where the gods get their power from belief.
Yeah.
And Elspeth convinces the underworld that the Shadow Spear is Heliod's real spear. And then
just by her actions,
it has the power of the spear, and the spear has no power. And it's like that's really cool. And that's an awesome like story that you can tell, but obviously it had to be told well. And like the Cliff Notes just give you at least that, where it's like, that's awesome. Like,
yeah, they gave you the summary, which, you know, I think that was, I feel like that I really think Meg might be onto a point there, because there really is no, I mean, they why would they have done that? Why there would be no reason
unless it was bad.
Unless it was so bad that it made War of the Spark.
So bad it was offensive.
I wonder, because that in Ashok they probably were a catalyst, because if you have a non-binary character at a time where these issues are becoming very apparent and very front and center, you have a non-binary character being somebody who is evil along the lines of Yawgmoth. Not so.
No, I didn't even think of that, but there is this optional Disney layer of having queer-coded villains, right? Ashok was, everything indicates that Ashok was the antagonist. That's fine. Slightly complicated, but fine.
Right.
The thing is, I think they misrepresented them in a way that would be the last drop for a lot of the fan base.
Yeah.
As true. Forsaken was for a lot of people, but they would lose even more people.
Yeah.
If they did Ashok wrong.
Because if Ashok's nuanced, then that's fine. I don't mind a nuanced character is interesting, because Ashok now is the fact that they have no team. That makes them fascinating, and not necessarily a just pole star of evil, and they're fucking with Alice Norn, and that's good, because she has it coming.
So much fun.
Yeah, she had it coming. She's truly ghastly. Well, as I love this so much, but I know we have to get going. So, any closing thoughts on where you guys think the story is going? Are there any characters that you predict are going to be any sort of final thoughts before we sign off and go about our merry Forthos ways?
I'm excited about. I just hope Elspeth gets the final blow on Alice Norn. It's all building up to the battle, whatever, where we're going. I also can't wait to actually return to Phyrexia, like New Phyrexia, and actually be on the plane. It's like I want to see the plane again. I want a whole set based around that plane.
Right.
I want to see all the. It's like we've been getting some converted characters that were converted over time. It's like we got Azuri as a commander product, like the Claw of Progress. It's like I want more of that stuff. I want to see more of the characters that we left and we didn't see what happened to them.
And the Mirror and Resistance too. What's up with that?
Exactly. I want to see what is Urbrask actually doing on the plane, because we know Urbrask isn't actively converting people, even though he's. I love that. I really like that the mana for the colors of mana, which the Phyrexians never really dealt with before until New Phyrexia, affects them to a point that it can make them not go with what their true intentions are. It's like Phyrexia is essentially New Phyrexia is essentially a computer program.
Exactly.
But the power of mana and the colors makes Urbrask go against every natural thought that he should have.
Yeah, he has emotions that he can't control.
Exactly, and it's because of red mana, right? Because red mana is super in touch with emotions.
Decidedly emotional.
Decidedly emotional, and it's so good.
That word is cursed for us.
I know.
It really is cursed in the Magic community. That is so true.
But it doesn't. But if you gotta laugh, you laugh to keep from crying, right?
Exactly.
It's over. It's in the past, and Chandra's back to being bi somehow. She's just back and forth. She's
rocking on. Be back with I want some
closure. Now I want Chandra to have a bay in every plane.
Yeah, because wasn't it on Innistrad? Wasn't she?
She was
with Adeline. I want
Mhm.
Chandra to pick a legend in every plane she visits.
She's booty calling through the multiverse.
and use the whole why not both.
She can just have a different every plane she goes to. She's got a new bay.
I mean, I personally would. I mean, I know, and I don't say polyamorous. I'm just a good old fashioned slut. I mean, it's just like that's what's wrong with that. I mean, call me old school.
I love you, Alper.
Of sending messages to Adeline, I'm in the neighborhood.
Right.
Want to hang out?
What you doing? Or no, WID.
I do. Yes.
Or in good old Portuguese, oi sumida.
Yeah, when you were doing anagrams, I was thinking, are you DTF? That was one that came to my mind. But
DTF, yeah. Well, because what you doing is always like that's the same thing. Basically, you said what you doing.
Yeah, it's a you up. Yeah,
you might as well be asking like who you doing, because like.
Yeah.
But I digress into well, it's not an episode where I don't say something filthy. So, but thank you so much, you guys. This has been awesome. I would love to continue this at a later date when we can. This is not the end, and this has been really fascinating. So, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, this is super fun.
Thanks for inviting us.
Excuse me. All right.
Thanks for having me out again, Alper. I didn't scare you once, so
what?
Fine.
Oh.
That's a false modesty.
Alper unless you literally, I can't imagine. I don't know how you scare Alper.
I don't frighten easily. You know what frightens me?
I know how Duda can scare Alper. Her Tuvasa commander. No. What's the name of the blue-green one?
Their Ivy.
Oh
no, the other one.
Red, isn't he?
The Merfolk one.
Oh,
Tatiova.
Tatiova. Exactly. Tatiova sounds Russian to me. Tatiova.
Now that traumatizes Alper. That doesn't scare him. Like just traumatizes. I tell you, green wipe the floor with like, oh man, that was Tuvasa. Yeah, like that's the enchantment deck. Oh, so
but her Tatiova is more traumatizing.
Oh, yeah. Tatiova. Okay, Tatiova. Okay,
but
yeah.
Tatiova is the one I comboed off with Sam and lost because I drew my entire deck because I made the combo. It was not my turn, so I couldn't play the rest of the combo, and I just
drew
lost my whole deck.
Yeah, she was decked out.
You decked
yourself. It was so good.
See, as a vampire player, I never deck myself. I am a gentleman. I play one creature and card at a time because I'm
my Olivia Voldaren Vampire Tribal is right here above my finger.
Oh, she has a bunch of commander decks. You should play with us on Spell Table one of these days.
I would love to. Like, bring it on. I would love to. I haven't played in forever. I talk a lot about Magic. I never play the damn game anymore. So
that's the Vorto's life. We talk about the game way more than play it.
It's depressing. It truly is. You guys, it's been a month and a half since I played Commander. A month and a half.
I played.
That's a lot.
Tuesday.
Well, rub it in, Joe.
I will. I get to play every week.
I am worse than Alper.
This is my glamorous middle finger for you, sir. How dare you break my heart?
Shiny.
I know, right? Oh, like I kind of like these gloves. Maybe I'll wear these out just like with like a suit and tie and just be like, what? I'm a magician. But
that would be great.
Well, so thank you so much again. It's been great. And yes, Duda, I want you to be on another show and another show. You
just call me and I will be there.
I will. Because I have stuff written. So
now you have my number at WhatsApp. So you are.
I've been texting. We're not recording anymore. So by the way, I've been texting her all week about a role that I'm writing for her in an upcoming part of the show. She's acting all like, I guess you like me. I'm like, well,
Duda started getting shy now. No.
It will be Professor Jiboa, Maggie.
I won't accept that. I want to accept Duda being shy and demure. Duda's not demure.
I get to write her as being a know-it-all stoner, and then I have another Allison playing an angry drunk, and I just get to write them and they both get to just basically I write the gist of it, and then they translate it into whatever fits for them, sort of just so whatever fits in Portuguese or as I like to call it, Brazilian, and then just
I heard the last episode with Elba and Thiago. Yes, I agree with you on the Brazilian thing.
It's so hard not to say, and it's
Maggie,
the best one I can convince people from Brazil.
Have you seen the X-Files episodes about Brazil, about Portuguese translation?
Oh, did you?
X-Files?
Well, I do a
X-Files
spoof.
like.
I do a spoof show on my channel called Tinfoil Hat Files, and one episode was about the odd translations in Brazil and where they actually come from, and it's a whole conspiracy. So the one we're working on now is a sequel to that episode. So
I would love to help.
Well, I look, when I found out about you, I was like, this person exists, and I haven't like. I mean, like, I was blown out. I thought, oh wow, like
I'm flattered.
It was me. It was
you
me.
Thank you,
Joe, she wrote her PhD about, right? You wrote your PhD about magic, right?
Master's and PhD, and I am teaching at a university. I'm still writing articles about magic and whatever. Magic and X, I'll try to write it.
Oh God, I would love to read your thesis. I would translate it through. I can translate it through. I'd love to read it.
No, it's in English. My PhD
okay.
program was in English. Yeah.
Well, I'd love to read it.
Fine.
Honestly. Like, I would really love
I'll
to read
send
it.
you links.
Please
I'll
do.
send you links.
I mean,
Don't worry.
You're fucking smart.
Bye bye.